What's up guys, MainManSWE here, hoping you're all doing awesome as always. Today I'm going to talk about the lack of diversity in the female roster of Tekken. From my point of view, this is my opinion. If no one else agrees, that is fine with me, but I still feel I have to state this because I feel it is important, and I hope this doesn't become political, in the comment section or anywhere else. I am not motivated by any form of political ideology making this video. To me, it's just common sense, and it is my subjective opinion. When I look at the male roster of Tekken, we're going to have a slideshow here with the entire roster. When I look at the male characters, I see a lot of diversity in sizes, in age, in facial attributes, in, well, pretty much all of it. We even have eye patches and jaguar masks and devils. We got Mr. Big Mac. We have a scary bearded man who's a giant. We have exorcist face. The badass Leroy. The elegant Lee. We have a lot of stuff. We cover all of it. They come in all shapes and sizes. And the age span among the males and bone structure of Fengwei's face. And we have a 79-year-old. Male's age. The male... What's it called? The age range of male characters in Tekken. 21 to 79. Females, 16 to 24. I think I got those right. No middle-aged women in Tekken seems to be the idea. And this went so far as to, between Tekken 2 and Tekken 3, where, 20 years passed and Paul added 20 years of wrinkles to his face, Nina and Anna, who the developers wanted to keep, very popular female characters, they did not age. Why? Because in the story, they were frozen down for 20 years in a refrigerator or a freezer. And then as soon as, 20 years later, it's the third King of Iron Fist tournament. Hey, guys, unfreeze Nina and Anna. Not a wrinkle, not a year older, still 24. Yes, so I guess the thing is here that... they feel that the market wants the females to be very young and very attractive. And that just bores me. It bores the shit out of me. All of the females in Tekken are all very young. They're all extremely attractive. Fashion model doll faces with no wrinkles or lines in sight. Just perfect, flawless faces. And they all, I'm sorry, but kind of look alike for the most part, and they all have a very thin waist, curvy bottom, and perky, generous cups, and yeah, that description kind of fits them all, and I don't mind that. I would just like if there were maybe a couple of females in the game who looked a bit different. I would kind of like to have a female Bob, or as I said on the Wave Dash podcast with Blasted Salami and Frame Whisperer, how about Dragunov has a female officer friend or colleague who's a middle-aged woman who looks kind of freaky like him, even though he has that sexy Johnny Depp Edward Scissorhands thing going on. But she looks a little bit weird, and she has this maybe a camo in the face, and a cool big uniform, for Antarctic expeditions. Just something. And I also feel like, of course, that most of the females, they have these nice, sexy, fashion dresses. Some of them fight in high heels. Not a lot of them look like proper fighters, in my opinion. Like wearing Muay Thai gear, and gloves and wrist wraps. That would be kind of cool, and maybe they could have a little different body types, suddenly I want to mention Ronda Rousey. She's muscular, some muscle, or Amanda Nunes, the very competent striker who took down Ronda Rousey. She has very broad shoulders, which obviously helps her, rotate a lot of force into those punches. maybe some of that, you know, someone that looks badass, you know, or Holly Holmes, who beat Ronda Rousey, the first one to take her down, you know, who has very, very low, she's very cut and ripped, very low fat percentage, super muscular, and, you know, just, she looks very intense, you know, just, I'm not saying everyone should look like that, but just something to break out from the mold of very, very pretty fashionista, you know, fashion model who seems to want to fight or is good at fighting. So I don't know if it's only me here. So I'm really, excited, but this is actually a comment section which I'd like to read. Like, is there anyone else out? I mean, I've had some people tell me they agree, or they kind of agree. They see something similar when they see the female roster. But are there more people who feel like the female characters are kind of all, you know, made from the same mold, whereas there's contrast between the male characters, which really appeals to me. You know, there's something for everyone, but whereas with the females, it just feels like the same take in a sense on the same type of female. So yeah, I'd just love to see Tekken 8, you know, just make at least an attempt, you know, to break this up a little bit, would make me so happy. And of course, I mean, it goes without saying that the male characters very often, you know, have this for Chris Hemsworth, you know, pretty much unattainable Superman look to them, as in, you know, very thin waist, extremely broad shoulders, very low fat percentage, muscle mass that you can only achieve by, you know, doing 50 pounds of tren, you know, every single morning. Maybe you will attain it. But yeah, they ain't natty, brah. You know, everyone's basically huge. And that's a mistake because, for example, martial law here, you know, in Tekken 4, it was very interesting. He was very thin. He looked more like Bruce Lee, the guy who is obviously imitating. And that told us, just from looking at his silhouette, his character, that he favored speed, maybe, and agility over strength. That really sets him apart when he's standing next to Paul, who is his best friend, but who obviously favors strength more. Interesting contrast. That was completely lost in Tekken 7, where they beefed up Law, and now next to Paul, certainly Paul is slightly larger, but that silhouette and contrast is suddenly gone, making it visually a much more uninteresting picture to look at. Because it actually tells a story, looking at a frame of Tekken 4, seeing Marshall close to Paul. That contrast tells us something about their different approaches and philosophies when it comes to fighting, and that's just gone in Tekken 7. So there's a problem there as well, where all the males are just supposed to be superhuman, but there is still the contrast in that Bob is actually pretty damn fat, too many Big Macs, and Noctis, who's a guest character, is very thin. And there are characters who are more on the thinner side, like Lee, for example, male characters. So yeah, a certain others as well would fit that. But it is generally true that they've beefed up too many of the male characters. But yeah, stuff like this, you know, unshaven look, that very sexy, what's it called in English? Plåster, we say in Swedish. So I'm just gonna go with that. You know, just something to break it up a little bit. So yeah, I don't know, guys. Am I completely crazy? Am I a fucking son of a bitch here? I don't know. I just look at the female roster and I see a few characters I like, Zafina, Kazumi, but I just wish it was there was more to it, you know, more standout characters, you know, that everyone is just not one and the same. And again, I really hope this is something that might be addressed for Tekken 8. It certainly would make things much more interesting for me. And I'm really interested in hearing how you all feel about this. So please share in the comment section. I'm actually going to read this one. But yeah, if we can stay clear of politics, stuff like this seems to be so sensitive these days. Either someone is a orange man worshipper, or it's a leftist snowflake. If we can just skip all of that, this is not a political video. It's just, in my opinion, common sense and my subjective opinion. So no political motivation, and yeah, you can tell me I'm wrong. You can tell me you agree. I would just like to hear how you guys think about the topic. And the diversity of Tekken roster. So, I hope you found this topic at least a slightly bit interesting. It's very interesting to me. Otherwise, I would not make a video about it. And I'm gonna wish you all a lovely day. So take care, everyone.